In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty, and darkness covered the face of the deep, but the Spirit of God was moving over the waters. Then God spoke, "Let there be light." And the light broke through the darkness. God separated the light from the darkness. He called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And God saw that it was good, but he was not yet finished. God stretched out the heavens, raised the mountains, carved the seas. With his word, he made the rivers flow and filled the earth with life. Every plant, every tree, every creature in the skies, on the earth, and in the seas was formed by his hand. And God saw that it was good, but something was still missing, the pinnacle of his creation, something different, something unique. God descended to the earth, bent down over the dust, and with his own hands formed man. But this being was not yet alive. It was only clay molded by the Creator, until God breathed life into his nostrils, and the man opened his eyes for the first time. Adam breathed. God said, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the skies, and over every living creature that moves on the earth." God placed the man in a perfect place, a garden of delight, a paradise without death, without disease, without pain. And in the midst of that Eden, God walked alongside his creation. "Adam, everything you see has been made by my hand. Everything, from the sand of the ground to the clouds of the sky. When you are thirsty, go to the lake. There you will quench your thirst. When you are hungry, go to the trees. They will give you food. When you are sleepy, lay your body down on the earth, and you will sleep and awaken renewed. In the sky are the stars. They will appear when the first time has passed. Then will come the sun, which is called day. This is the first time. Every animal has its purpose in Eden. Respect them, and they will serve and respect you. Each one is different from the other, from those in the water to those on the land. God explained to Adam everything that was in Eden. Then he ascended to his throne. But the man was not complete, because although all the creatures had company, Adam was alone. So God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and while he slept, he took one of his ribs, and from it formed the woman. When Adam woke up and saw her, he knew that she was different, that she was his complement, that she was his companion. Adam spoke with wonder and joy. "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man." The man and the woman lived in harmony, without shame, without fear. Everything was peace. And so began their days in the perfect garden. Each morning, the sun rose softly over the green leaves, and the song of the birds filled the air. Adam and Eve woke up together, surrounded by the whispers of the rivers, the birds, and so they walked together, exploring the mysteries of Eden. Their steps were soft upon the grass, their laughter mingled with the murmur of the fountains. Adam taught Eve everything that existed, what each thing was for, and showed her what could be done. The waters were the source of life, purity, but also the home of many creatures. The earth bore fruit. It was the foundation for the tree, for the flowers, for the structures, for the animals. The sky was the distant place that, when seen, transmitted a feeling of peace, a mysterious place, but also where the birds were. Adam showed her the details of the things that the Most High had created for them. "Eve, this tree bends towards the sky as if listening to the voice of God. He is on the earth, and from the earth it comes out and grows towards the sky. It gives us fruit to feed ourselves. It gives us shade to sleep. It gives us warmth to feel well." God walked with them in the cool of the day. His voice was like thunder and like the breeze. And when he spoke, the entire Eden trembled in a sacred whisper. The Most High, when he descended to the earth of Eden, had to diminish his majestic presence, because it was so powerful that what was around burned. Nothing could withstand that power of such magnitude. Adam, Eve, enjoy the garden I have given you. Everything you see is yours to care for and to enjoy. Respect one another. Respect the water, which is pure. It cleanses you and gives you life. Respect the earth, for from it you came, and from it you feed. Respect the animals that were created for you. Listen to what I say to you. Everything has a purpose that cannot be broken by human hands. Lord, we are grateful for your incredible goodness, for teaching us everything. Every fruit we taste is a song of your goodness, every creature a brushstroke of your power. But tell us, Father, what do you wish us to do today? Cultivate the land, guard it. Everything that grows must be sown. The fruits of the trees are a sower of life. Sow and reap. I have given you dominion over everything that breathes, in the waters, on the land, and in the air. Everything will obey you. But remember something very important. In the center of Eden is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. From it you shall not eat, for the day you do, you will die. So it shall be, Lord. Your word is our shield. And so the days passed, full of joy and discovery. But evil lurked from afar. Adam and Eve walked hand in hand through hidden paths among vines. They touched the petals, delights that trembled with dew. They lay down under the great cedars, listening to the murmur of the waters and the song of the birds that painted the sky with their flights. They gave names to every animal on the earth, in the sky and in the water. They gave names to the plants, to the flowers, to every existing fruit. It took years for everything to be completed. The Most High rejoiced to see such action and decided to reward them with knowledge, but true, pure, clean knowledge, without blemish. Knowledge that was only of heaven, things known only by the Most High and His Son. The Most High said, "You were made in my image and likeness, as my Son and I, both inside and out. I will give you knowledge. This is the greatest gift that has ever existed. It is the gift of everything. You are incomplete beings without the knowledge, but the knowledge I give you is real and unique. You were made to show that love exists, and I am love. When you wish to speak, call me. When you have doubts, say my name. When you want something, ask, and it will be given to you." Father, I feel so good to have you here with us. We will never be far from you. We love you, Father. But the Most High was saddened to hear those words because he knew they were sincere. But what was to come was inevitable. Adam, sometimes I wonder, are we the only ones who walk among these trees? I have also thought about it, Eve. I look at the birds that fly free, at the beasts that run through the fields, but I see no one else who speaks like us, no one else who hears what we hear. It's as if our voices were the only ones that can fill this silence. And yet, I feel there is a murmur, something I cannot see, but that beats in the air. Perhaps they are the thoughts of the Father that wrap around us like the scent of the flowers. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I imagine other faces. I wonder if there are others somewhere beyond the limits of this garden. Do you think there are other Edens as full of life and mystery as ours? Or are we the first whisper of His creation? I don't know, but I feel that we are different from everything around us. Not just because we speak and think, but because we look at each other and see reflections that do not exist in any animal. Every creature has its dance, its voice, but only we have questions and dreams. It makes me think, is that what makes us unique? Or are we perhaps a beginning? Maybe we are the seed of something that will bloom over time. Perhaps one day the Father will give us the answer, or perhaps He will let us discover it together. And if we are the only ones, isn't that an even greater gift? But sometimes I would like to know how other voices would sound. Would they be soft like ours, or would they carry a different song? Whatever it may be, if they exist, I hope their hearts know how to love like ours, because what we have here is a reflection of the love the Father gave us. Yes, Adam. And until we know the answer, let us walk together. We will share everything, the sun, the rain, the words, and the silence. Together, Eve, always. Eden was an endless poem. Adam and Eve learned the secret rhythms of creation, how the fish danced in the streams, how the moon and the sun wove a mantle of light over them. Every inch of Eden was made for them, to glorify the name of God, as the roots embraced beneath the earth. God taught them to sing with His voice, and they sang, praising the Most High. Each evening, the golden light of the sky settled over Eden. God visited them, and they bowed in humility. His words filled the air with hope and purpose. You have seen the wonder of my work. Guard it, love it, for I have given you this place so that it may bloom in your hands. You are the will on the earth. Everything must submit to you, but respect everything that exists, for it was created by me for you. Thank you, Father. Everything we see proclaims your greatness. We are one with you. The days passed like leaves carried by the wind. Adam and Eve discovered new scents, new colors. They tasted sweet fruits that painted their lips with the dew of life. Each day was a different song, and their hearts beat in harmony with creation. They were happy. Sometimes, in the cool of the afternoon, the very Word, the living Word who one day would bring redemption to the world, descended into the garden. Jesus Christ, before being born among men, walked with them with a love as ancient as creation itself. And when He arrived, the air trembled with a joy no bird could sing. His words were like seeds that germinated in their hearts, filling each shadow with light, each doubt with peace. Adam and Eve listened in wonder, because in His voice was the echo of everything that had been and everything that would come. It was in those golden evenings, when the sun died in a sigh of fire, that the Word called them by name, and they came like children to the voice of their Father. With Him, everything was clarity. With Him, each heartbeat felt like a prayer. Father, your presence makes every leaf sing. When you speak, I feel as if the wind itself whispers your love. You always smile and transmit that calm, that beautiful peace. But in Eve's heart beat a silent question, a curiosity that awoke when she looked at the tree in the middle of the garden. Its fruit shone with a glow that seemed to contain all the mysteries of life. She contemplated it, and something inside her stirred. Adam, have you ever thought about that tree? The Father said not to touch it, not to taste it. But why? What is this good and evil He speaks of? If everything here is good, if we know only peace, why would there be evil in this perfect place? Eve, I don't know, but the Father has given us so many good things, and His voice is clear. He said not to eat from that tree. If He said it, it is for a reason. We must not complicate what is simple. Yes, I know, but sometimes I feel as if a shadow slides behind that light, as if the tree itself has a song I do not understand. But I also know that it is not our place to discover it. The Father told us, of all the trees we may eat, except that one. Let us not question what is beyond our reach. Everything else is here for us, and that is enough. Perhaps, but I cannot help but wonder why there is something we cannot touch if the Father gave us life. Why would He have put something that we should not try? Because He loves us and knows what we do not see. If there is a limit, it is because His wisdom set it, It is not for us to cross it. Let us trust, Eve, and not complicate what love has already made perfect." Adam's words were simple, but full of the strength of one who knows that everything that breathes is a gift. Yet Eve's curiosity, as small as it was, did not fade from her thoughts. The tree stood like an enigma, a whisper that slid among the branches. It was as if all of Eden kept a secret. Even so, each day continued to flow like a serene song. The Word kept walking with them, and his words were balm and promise. When the sun began to sleep, the light settled over them, and they remembered that they were there out of love and to love. But in Eve's heart the question remained alive. What is good and what is evil? Why does a limit exist in a paradise without shadows? And though Adam calmed her with words of certainty, she knew that the answer slept in the Father's heart. "Do not be afraid, Eve. We are the most beloved work of our Father. His voice guides us. His love sustains us. As long as we are together, nothing will make us fall. God has given us everything for ourselves. He knows everything, the good, the bad. If only He knows it, that is enough for us, since He protects and strengthens us." Thus passed the days, perfect, endless, filled with the Father's light. But Eden, though it was a song of life, and in that freedom, the shadow waited. Adam and Eve continued their days filled with peace and harmony. Every morning, Eden awoke with the gentle song of the birds and the sweet perfume of the newly opened flowers. One day, while Eve was picking fruits near a stream, something different caught her attention. A sinuous figure was slowly gliding through the shadows. It was the serpent. Its skin shone like the scales of the river. Eve had never seen a creature like that before, so elegant and so strange. Eve was surprised. The serpent spoke. Eve asked, "Who are you?" The serpent replied with a subtle smile. "I am a special creature, Eve. I can speak. I can think. I am not like the others." Eve looked at her in wonder, and in her heart grew a sigh of wonder and doubt. Eve, with a tone of amazement and a bit of distrust, "How is it possible? No other being here speaks. Where does your voice come from?" "Perhaps I am different for a purpose the Father gave me," the serpent answered with a hint of mystery. "But for now, I only know that I can speak to you." After those words, the serpent left, gliding through the tall grass. Eve watched her until she disappeared. She remained still, reflecting on that encounter. It was strange, but there was something fascinating in that creature that broke the silence of Eden. Eve thought of telling Adam, but she was so amazed and afraid at the same time. Days later, while they were walking together under the great cedars, Eve told Adam what she had seen. She spoke with a spark of wonder in her eyes. "Adam, I found a creature that speaks like us. A serpent told me it is special, that it can speak and think." Adam looked at her with curiosity, but with prudence in his words. "A serpent that speaks. That is different. Perhaps the Father made her that way for some reason. I would like to see her with my own eyes." Eve nodded, her heart still pounding from the memory of the serpent's soft voice. When she told him everything that had happened, Adam was very amazed, since nothing like that had ever happened. That day, a bit of curiosity awoke in Adam that he had never had before. His thoughts were about that, since the Creator had not told him anything about such a being that could speak just like them. The days continued to flow like calm water. Each evening brought the Father's voice in the air, filling them with peace. But in Eve's heart, the image of the serpent remained. Each night, while the sky dressed itself in stars, she thought of that mysterious voice and the secrets it might hold. Meanwhile, in the sky, God watched everything that was happening. And his angels said to him, "Father, let us remove that impostor from Eden. He is plotting something with Adam and Eve. We do not trust him. Just give us the order, and Gabriel and Raphael will go." God did not answer, and his being remained silent, only observing in complete calm. Days later, the serpent returned. Her movements were slow, as if the earth itself moved with her. Her eyes shone with a gleam that seemed to hide secrets. The serpent spoke with a soft and enveloping voice. "Eve, there is a tree to the south of Eden, a tree that has a different fruit. It is thanks to that tree that I can speak. That tree has everything that gave me this ability. Before, I was imprisoned and unable to express myself, but the fruit set me free and opened my eyes. The moment I ate it, I saw that everything was dark and silent. I understood nothing until I ate. It may be the most delicious fruit I have ever tasted." Eve listened, fascinated and fearful at the same time. Her thoughts mixed like leaves in the wind. A tree. The Father told us not to eat from a tree in the middle of Eden. "Is it that tree?" The serpent replied. "Yes," with a soft and sure tone. "That tree is the source of what I am. Its fruit opens the eyes, Eve. It lets you see what lies beyond the light." Eve lowered her gaze, uneasy. Her thoughts were a whirlwind of curiosity and obedience, fighting in her heart, deciding whether to listen to the serpent or ignore her. "The Father said we would die if we ate from it," said Eve with a trembling voice and a sigh that escaped her lips. The serpent smiled, a subtle and cunning gesture. "You will not die. The Father knows that if you eat, your eyes will be opened and you will be like him. Do you not want to be like him, knowing good and evil? You will be like the Father himself, Eve. Why would he deny you that knowledge? You know that God is powerful and majestic. He knows everything. There is no greater gift than to be like him." The serpent's voice wrapped around her like a hypnotic song. The desire to know and the Father's voice fought in her chest. The serpent slipped away among the shadows and disappeared, leaving Eve with her thoughts and a whisper of temptation that would not let her sleep. That night Eve spoke with Adam. "Adam," the serpent returned. "She says her voice comes from a tree. She says that fruit opens the eyes, that we can be like the Father, knowing everything he knows, everything he sees and does." Adam listened attentively and replied calmly, although doubt showed in his words. "Eve, we must not forget what the Father told us. If he gave us a limit, it is because he knows what is best for us. We cannot complicate what he has made perfect. He said we would die." Eva asked with a furrowed brow. "I know, Adam, but why would there be something we cannot know? Why does that tree hold a mystery that is forbidden to us?" Curiosity was alive in her eyes. Her body trembled. Her spirit was restless. Adam said with a firm voice, "Perhaps because there are things we do not need to know. The Father gave us all this, the rivers, the birds, the song of the wind. We should not seek more than what he wanted to give us. But I will not deny that I am a little curious about why the Father would hide those things from us." Eve nodded, but the mystery was still alive in her heart. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the tree, its branches heavy with a fruit that seemed to contain all the knowledge of the world. 2 days later, the serpent returned. Her voice was like a gentle song that slipped into Eve's thoughts. The serpent spoke with a voice as sweet as honey. "Come with me. I will show you the tree. Do not be afraid. If you do not want to eat, it's okay. I just want you to see it." Eve spoke with Adam and asked him to follow the serpent. The air seemed to hold an ancient secret as they walked south of Eden. The tree rose majestically, its fruits shining like fire trapped in skin. Its scent was intoxicating, and every leaf whispered a promise. The serpent said with a persuasive voice, "Look at this fruit. It will not harm you. It will only open your eyes to see what you do not yet see. The Father knows good and evil. Why should you not know it too, if you are made in his image and likeness?" At that moment, everyone in heaven was watching the scene, worried. The angels cried out to God for permission to go down and prevent Eve from eating the forbidden fruit. But the Most High, sitting on his throne, with a calm and slightly sad voice, simply said, "Here begins everything. Be still, my children. This must happen in order to continue." After this, the angels fell to their knees and wept, and at the same time they were calmed, because they knew that the Most High had a plan. Eve extended her trembling hand. Her heart beat strongly. She remembered the words of the Father, but also the voice of the serpent that whispered promises of knowledge. Adam was behind her, fearful and curious at the same time, seeing the majestic tree and its beautiful fruits. Eve murmured, "The Father said we should not do it." Adam said, "Let's try it. Maybe the serpent is right. We will be like God. It is not bad to want to be like him." The serpent replied, "The Father knows what is good and what is evil. He does not want you to know, because that would make you like him." Eve looked at the fruit one last time. In her eyes was the flame of desire and the shadow of doubt. Her fingers touched the skin of the fruit, and finally, as she took it, she felt a strong breeze that swept across Eden, from the seas to the sky. She picked 2 fruits and gave one to Adam, and the 2 of them ate. The bite was soft, sweet, and bitter at the same time. As they swallowed, they felt their bodies grow heavier, how the earth pressed against their bare feet, and how the sun began to feel hot on their bodies. Their eyes were opened, just as the serpent had said. They looked at each other and felt shame at seeing themselves naked. Quickly, they grabbed leaves, wove them together, and clothed themselves. They began to see everything differently, how the water felt, how their heads began to ache suddenly. And then they fell to the ground, fainting. Days passed, and they looked different. They felt different. They were hungry, thirsty. They felt tired and exhausted. The sun of the day was hot. The night was cold and dark. The animals feared them, ran from their presence. Everything was different. The garden was silent, as if each leaf held the breath of Eden. The song of the birds had turned into a muted murmur, and the air no longer carried the freshness of the dawn. Adam and Eve, who had walked naked without shame, now covered themselves with leaves and trembled under the shadows of the trees. Their love was still alive, but the weight of disobedience had darkened their gaze. The Father descended to the garden. His presence was light and tremor, like a whisper and a thunder at the same time. His voice rose softly, but was filled with sadness. "Adam, where are you?" Adam's heart beat strongly, and his voice was a fearful murmur. "I heard your voice in the garden, Father, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid." "Who showed you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you not to eat?" The silence that followed was as heavy as a sky without stars. Adam took a deep breath and spoke. "The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me from the tree, and I ate." The Father turned his gaze to Eve. His voice was not of anger, but of a sadness so deep that it made the air tremble. "What is this that you have done?" "The serpent deceived me and I ate." All of Eden held its silence, as if all creation were listening. The Father spoke, and his words were seeds of justice and promise. "Serpent, why have you done this? You will be cursed above all the animals of the field. On your belly you shall crawl, and dust you shall eat all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. She will crush your head, and you will strike her heel." Then the Father looked at Eve. His eyes were an ocean of compassion and truth. "I will greatly multiply the pain of your pregnancies. With pain you will give birth to your children, and your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you." Finally, the Father's voice turned to Adam, filled with a love that could not hide justice. "Because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten from the tree of which I commanded you not to eat, cursed is the ground because of you. With pain you shall eat from it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread until you return to the ground from which you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you shall return. Adam and Eve listened and knew that they could no longer remain in paradise. A sweet sadness filled the air, but also a flame of hope that the Father had left burning in his promise. The Father clothed them with garments of skin. His tenderness covering their shame was a gesture of love in the midst of justice, a sign that even though they had fallen, they were not alone. Now that man has become like one of us, knowing good and evil, he must not reach out his hand and also take from the tree of life and eat and live forever. So the Father expelled them from the Garden of Eden. He led them to the border where the fertile land kissed the desert. Adam took Eve's hand, and together they took their first steps outside of paradise, where they saw that everything was different, nothing was as they imagined. Where difficulty was an everyday reality, where hunger was the primary need to be satisfied, where effort was tripled and danger abounded. At the entrance of Eden, the Father placed cherubim and a flaming sword that turned in all directions, guarding the way to the tree of life. Eden remained behind them like a distant whisper of what once was. But even though perfection had been lost, the voice of the Father still resonated in their hearts. It was a whisper of hope, a promise that would transcend time, that his love would never abandon them. And so began the journey of man and woman in a world that was no longer a garden, but where there was still an echo of paradise in every breath of faith. The story did not end with the expulsion. The story was just beginning. The story of Adam and Eve, as we have heard it so many times, is much more than an ancient tale about disobedience. It is a profound mirror of human nature, an eternal reminder that each of us also lives our own Eden and faces our own serpents. The question that many of us ask, why did God, being omnipotent, allow the serpent to slip through the shadows of Eden? It contains within itself the mystery of freedom. Perhaps the answer is not in the temptation itself, but in what it reveals about the essence of love. Because a love that does not have the possibility of choosing is not love. It is simple obedience without awareness. God, who is pure love, did not want to impose his will like a yoke on the creatures he had formed in his image and likeness. He wanted Adam and Eve, and all of us his children, to love him freely from the heart and not out of obligation. Eden was a gift, a place where harmony and purity danced in every leaf and in every sigh of the wind. But true freedom cannot exist without the choice to make mistakes. Just as light can only be understood in contrast with darkness, obedience only has meaning when the possibility of disobedience exists. The serpent was allowed not to destroy, but to test the freedom that God had given to man. Without that possibility, Adam and Eve would not have been free. They would have been mere instruments without soul or choice. This story teaches us that the fall was not the end, but the beginning of a greater story, the story of redemption. Because although Adam and Eve failed, the voice of God was not silenced. His love, which is greater than any mistake, continued to whisper promises of hope throughout the centuries. It is in the fall that we discover grace. It is in weakness that we discover the strength of forgiveness. Many might see this story as a tragedy, but within it also shines the seed of divine compassion. God himself clothed Adam and Eve with garments of skin, an act of tenderness in the midst of judgment. He showed them that even though they had lost the perfection of Eden, they were not lost forever. There was a plan, a purpose that would go beyond their mistake, the promise of redemption that would find its fulfillment much later. And so this ancient narrative becomes a lesson for every generation. Because each of us, at some point in our lives, is like Adam and Eve. We hear voices that tempt us. We stray from what we know is right, and we end up feeling the weight of our own shame. But the voice of God still resonates like a whisper of hope, reminding us that we are not alone in our exile. His love does not depend on our perfection. His love seeks us out even when we run from him. Why did God allow the serpent to speak? Perhaps because he wanted to show us that even though evil exists, it never has the last word, because in his heart, goodness always triumphs over darkness. The serpent was cunning, but it could not extinguish the flame of the promise that God left burning, a promise that burns in every heart willing to hear it. This story invites us to reflect on our own story. Where are our Edens? What are the serpents that whisper in our ears? And more importantly, how do we respond to the call of the Father's voice that even today tells us that, although the path may be difficult, his love will never abandon us? In every step outside of our lost paradise, we carry with us the seed of redemption,